The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 29th day of October, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman, and we'll have a news break from Teo Dill in a bit. Folks, it's Wednesday. It's hump day for a lot of people. That means it's the middle of the traditional work week. I'm just pouring my dehydration drink after the gym because your boy's gotta get himself back in order. But how's everyone feeling today? We're a day closer to Candy Day, Halloween, and I was talking to someone yesterday, and I was telling them that I was going to start decorating for Christmas yesterday, and they got on me and they were like, seriously, can you not wait another 3 days? Just let Halloween. And I'm like, I don't decorate for Halloween. So that doesn't, the only good thing about Halloween for me is the discount on candy the day after. So all that to say, I'm a bit behind on my Christmas decorating. Anybody else decorate yet for Christmas? Anybody started their, holiday decorating? Let me know. Suzanne Ingham says it's a super awesome Wednesday, Jamel and Teo. We've been granted another day to give our all. Thankful indeed, Suzanne, and a very happy and super awesome Wednesday to you. Kenton Trott says, good morning, TDH family. Happy, wonderful Wednesday indeed, and likewise to you, Kenton Trott. All right, folks. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we discuss what needs to be done to get young people more involved politically. Like, what can we do? And we saw what the PLP plan or strategy is last week. But it seems that young people are so disinterested in the political process. Like, there's a lack of interest. They're uninterested they just don't care, right? And so we'll discuss that this morning. The daily play is music today. So let me just check. No, it's not that question. Okay, it's this question. So we have a music question for you. So hopefully you all have your thinking caps on. But audience, if you haven't already, please make sure you go to thedailyhour.com, fill out our annual survey, help us help you make decisions that will improve this show and align, you with more of the partners that you'd like to engage with. Also, don't forget to subscribe on our website while you're there and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, let's jump right into it. Well, we've got Kenton Trott says, I agree, bro, Jamal. I just picked up some stuff yesterday. My wife ordered for Christmas. It's never too early. Never too early. This is my brother here. There you go, Kenton Trott. Good morning. My neighbors have their tree up, says Miss Ellen Kate Horton. That's what I'm talking about. Now, Miss Ellen Kate, how do you feel about your neighbors having their tree up already? We got Suzanne Ingham says, No, but I could leave Christmas decorations up all year. I would certainly do it. I love Christmas decorations. See, we're here, Suzanne. We're here. We are people. We are people. All right, folks, let's jump into today's discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. Question of the morning is, what can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? What can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? And also, how old were you when you first voted? How old were you when you first voted? How old? If you can remember back then, because some of you, well, let me go first because I'm not even going to shame you. I don't remember how old I was. I don't. I could not vote in 1998 because I just turned 17. So the first opportunity I would have had was 2003. And while I was politically involved, I had just gotten, become a member of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party under the direction of Linda Merritt. I was not as involved to understand, who I was going to vote for at that time. I know where I was being directed and who I eventually did, but I was not as involved to understand the political process in Bermuda at that time. But what are your thoughts, though, audience? Well, I really want to know, how old were you when you first voted? And what can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? So let's give some background while we're having this conversation. So last week, the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party started their delegates conference, and they said a few things as it related to young people. Shamari Talbot Woolridge, who I believe is part of Progressive Minds, he was a candidate in constituency 9, I believe, for the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party in the last election. He stated that Bermuda is at a crossroads and that the next generation must step into leadership rather than waiting for it. Young people under 35 can join the party, in his example. Said free during the conference period, signaling lowered barriers to entry. Here's what's crazy to me. During that same delegates conference, the Bermuda Premier of Bermuda, David Burt, bragged about having the youngest cabinet, right? The youngest cabinet. I don't know if he said in the history of Bermuda, but youngest cabinet. And someone said to me privately, say, do people really care if this is the youngest cabinet? I said, well, David Burt was also the youngest premier in the history of Bermuda. And you wouldn't know it. And I say this kindly, not even as biased, but Dr. Ewart Brown comes across as the youngest premier to me, simply because he knew how to engage younger people. David Burt doesn't carry himself like the youngest premier. He never did. I think, and much of that was because he was out of touch. David Burt didn't come across like he grew up in Bermuda and he embraced it. I remember guys saying on social media, and I was very defensive at the time, back in 2017, summer after the PLP had won the election, someone says, what school did David Burt even go, right? And a lot of people did not know. And this is not to shame the premier, but it's just saying that it's a bit more than age, right? It's mentality. It's, fit in the community, right? I once said to a PLP minister that you'd make the perfect politician for the United Bermuda Party, because I think many would agree that that party in particular, the Progressive Labor Party, yes, it's evolved and times changed, but it seems like it's gone so far away from what it was created to do by those folks in that garage, right? And the people who represent it today, you would think with the so-called youngest cabinet and the youngest premier in history, that young people would be gravitating. And so we have to question as fellow Bermudians, if we have the youngest premier in the history of the country and who's bragging about having the youngest cabinet, then why aren't they attracting or younger people to get politically involved? And my answer to that is because the younger people they have are out of touch with the reality of the majority of young people in Bermuda. That's what the conclusion I come to. They're out of touch. That's the only, I don't know, maybe you feel differently, but I think the fact that the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party seems to be having issues and seem to be offering free membership for a certain period tells you that those young people in that party, the youngest cabinet, the youngest premier in history, have probably not done a good job of embracing the next generation. It's weird, right? So let's talk about why youth matters in politics. Regardless of where people stand politically, young Bermudians bring energy, fresh perspectives, and you know they turn these into modern issues, tech, climate, jobs, and equality, right, or equity. I was listening to the best journalist on radio in media today, in my most humble, not humble opinion, is Abby Phillip. And I was listening to her interview on The Breakfast Club. And I remember people have said this about the Daily Hour often, right? I remember the first time I heard it was when Rick Olson came on the show as a guest. And the public, oh, why give him your platform and this and that? And Abby Phillip really summed it up. And I think anyone who has an interest in media or journalism should probably, she's the standard, right? She's the standard. She takes a lot of flack for allowing people sometimes with extreme views onto her platform. And she kind of explained that, part of the job is not an echo chamber, it's to actually bring these perspectives, right? And bring people on and having discussions with them. Some may debate, but having those discussions to flush out or figure out solutions. But I think we are in a time now where we do have a lot of young people that have an interest in politics, but don't necessarily get politically involved. And, I've spoken to some who they got involved with certain other young people. And then there's other young people, they weren't just politically involved. They had political ideologies that they didn't agree with. Like, I think Abby Phillip said it during her interview. Not every black person disagrees with Donald Trump. Not every black person disagrees with Joe Stein. Like we've got to understand and make sure young people, when entering the political space and getting involved, understand one thing. One, not everyone thinks like you. Two, not everyone who's the same race thinks like you. Three, not everyone who's the same gender thinks like you. Four, not everyone who's the same age as you thinks like you. You see where I'm going with this? In order to attract young people, we've got to think differently. We've got to shift. So back to the point of why youth matters in politics, political involvement ensures the policies reflect their future, not just the legacy generation. So young folks, there are a lot of things taking place right now today that if you don't get a grip on, it's not going to be pretty for you. Engagement now builds experience for tomorrow's leadership, meaning your voice today shapes the country you'll live in later. You matter. Don't wait. So what involvement can look like? What does political involvement look like? Now, it could mean joining a political party or a youth wing, as per Mr. Talbot Woolridge or Woolridge Talbot. It could also mean just volunteering on campaigns, local branch activities, community forums. It could mean running for office or participating in youth committees. It could mean engaging in policy debates, ask questions, make submissions, attend town halls, activism, right? Create your own group to go and, push for issues and change. Bermudians Against the Draft. We were a group that wanted political change because we disagreed highly with a law. So what's at stake for young Bermudians? The cost of living, housing access, job opportunities, educational pathway, all things mentioned in connection with youth in Bermuda. Without younger voices in politics, decisions may miss or undervalue youth concerns, leading to disengagement or, wait for it, migration. Being involved, you have a stake in outcomes, not just complaining, but shaping the country you all say you love. But there are some barriers because, I mean, we saw some comments last week. People, tell people, oh, you need experience, and some people feel, oh, I'm too young or not, enough experienced enough, right? But experience builds with action. You've got to do the work to get the experience, right? There's this disillusionment, right? People become disillusioned because many feel politics doesn't reflect youth voices, right? There are people that must find ways to hold politicians accountable while being part of the solution. It takes a lot of time. There's a huge commitment. But there are various things you can do online and part-time roles. You've got to close that knowledge gap, encourage political literacy, understand how policy works, how laws are made, how you can influence them. So I actually agree with the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party and Shamari Talbot Orridge by inviting young people into the room. I agree with the message of bring a friend. That's the social aspect, the collective. And I encourage every young person to identify others who have one issue that they care about and take a step to bring them on board. So the question, audience, what can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? And how old were you when you first voted? All right. All right. So let's go to the audience. I did a lot of talking. So let's see what you've got. We've got Kenton Trott. He says, love the topic today. I actually think it's the responsibility of our generation and the elders to educate and teach them the importance of being involved. Many young people don't really see the value. I'm going to say something, and it might rock, some people. And first, let me just say this. I am very, I love what I do. I love doing this show. I love engaging with all of you. But the part that a lot of people don't see is I love having regular conversations with the partners and sponsors of this show. Some of you might be surprised what they think about a lot of stuff, but I actually love it. And I'm able to engage and say things even to them that I would not say on the show, right? But in saying that, to Kenton's point about the responsibility of our generation and the elders to educate them and teach them. I'm going to keep it real with you folks. And audience, let me know if you feel the same way. I spend very little time trying to teach, help, or educate young people who don't embrace it. I'm sorry. Now, someone said to me recently, yeah, but you used to coach and mentor. I said, but those are children. Adults? I'm not here to educate or help you unless you're open to it. I think we live in a very entitled and arrogant era where everyone has the answers anyway. Everyone already knows what to do. You can't tell nobody nothing. So for me, Kenton, young people have to be receptive. They have to understand they don't know it all. They don't have all the answers. The same way the elders need to understand that things change and things are not what they used to be. Both sides need to be humble in this approach. Older people need to understand that old things new aren't bad for us. And younger people need to understand all things that are historic are not bad for us either. there has to be some sort of positive collision in there, right? There has to be. Sean Smith said he first voted at 18 when the law was changed. All right, so you had an election year when you turned 18. All right, cool. Suzanne Ingham says, I was 20 something when I first voted. I had gone 21 and the vote was a few years later, maybe 23 or 24, I guess. Okay, all right. Miss Ellen Kate Horton says the youngest premier called the election twice while our students were off island. Things that make you go, So this goes to the point I made earlier. You know, again, I know we had many issues with the way that Dr. Ewart Brown may have governed Bermuda and the like. But the one thing I think he had that we've been missing in leadership is he knew how to connect with people, even those who disagreed with him. He knew how to bring young people out. He got young people out. I think the premier of Bermuda, the youngest in the history, David Burt, has done everything that's politically expedient at the cost of young people. Like having an interview with some young Bermudians politically involved, and then the next day calling an election, which to me was one of the biggest slaps in the face. And this is why I tell people, you know, you can't put your value in politics and politicians. You just can't. Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. We're going to continue the conversation. We've got, there's a lot of comments I've got to get through. So keep the comments coming. Keep the comments coming. We've got to go to the news break and with Teo, and then we'll come back to continue this conversation. Keep your comments and questions coming. Again, we're discussing how do we get more young people involved in the political process. Don't go anywhere. We've got much more coming on the way.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty, let's go to Teo for Daily Hour News Break. Keep your comments coming, folks. We're going to get through as many questions as possible and comments this morning, but we're talking about how we can get young people more politically involved.
Good morning, I'm Teo Dill, and welcome to your TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples, who have everything that you need, from prescriptions to daily essentials. People's Pharmacy is where wellness begins and community grows together. Now, the BPS have had to investigate more reported gunshots, but maybe, thankfully, they didn't find any evidence to substantiate that any firearms were used at all in this most recent set of alleged instances of gunfire. Basically, the reports came in just before midnight on Monday about gunshots heard near Town Hill and Harrington South Road in Smiths. BPS officers rushed to the area and searched it, finding no evidence that could substantiate or even indicate exactly where the shots could have been fired in the first place. The searches extended further along the relevant roads with no evidence of any firearms having been discharged, and no CCTV footage confirmed or suggested shots were fired in the first place. Now, none of this means that it didn't happen, just that there's no evidence available right now to prove that it did. If you can help the police figure this out, call 211 or the main police number at 295-0011. And as of today, Hurricane Melissa is definitively, officially a threat to Bermuda as the storm approaches its closest point to the island late Thursday night or early Friday morning. As you're aware, yesterday, Melissa hit Jamaica harder than any other hurricane in the past century, making landfall with over 180-mile-per-hour winds. Bermuda's EMO met yesterday to cover the necessary local prep, which includes the active hurricane watch, which covers the fact that Melissa's winds will climb close to 100 knots per hour by Friday morning, along with the kind of dangerous seas and rip currents that you would expect. Now, the EMO has not made any decisions on closures or local emergency measures yet, but today's meeting will likely result in whether or not schools or public transport or stuff like that will be open for Friday. We'll keep you posted.
The more intensity it holds now, the more likely it's going to have more intensity when it gets up there. And whatever happens to the storm once it gets up towards Bermuda, if it's got more intensity to play with at the beginning, even if it has a big wind distribution where it's spread out a lot more and those winds go down, it'll still be over a much larger area. I guess that doesn't really matter so much for Bermuda because it's so small. But, in general, yes, the stronger storm now will mean a stronger storm later.
Now, here's something that sounds like unambiguously good news for Bermuda. That is to say, global shipping costs just hit their lowest point in nearly 2 years. However, you'd be a little surprised to learn that could be a mixed bag for us here on the island. So the newly released Drewry World Container Index spot freight rates, basically what shippers pay to move a standard 40-foot container, dropped to under $1,700 earlier this month. Sounds pretty great, right? Cheaper shipping, that means lower import costs for food, medicine, everyday goods, which should lead to better prices for us. However, here's where it gets funny. The lower the rates for shipping, the stronger the signal for weak demand, which could prompt carriers to cut back on less profitable routes like ours, which could mean that we feel the pinch with fewer options in goods, fewer sailings, or even new surcharges as carriers try to make back the money they're losing based on the weaker demand. This should mean that local importers are deciding on whether to lock in contracts now before prices climb again versus waiting until costs get closer to normal. We will keep you posted one way or the other. I know I got my fingers crossed. Now, weather-wise, Hurricane Melissa is coming straight up and down, but the current gloomy weather has nothing to do with her yet. The Bermuda Weather Service explains that today's gray, wet conditions are due to a solid low, dominating our airspace for at least until lunchtime or so. Things should settle for the second half of the day, but tomorrow's when Melissa starts to make her presence felt for real before reaching her closest point to the island late tomorrow or early Friday. We will tell you more about what's to come tomorrow morning, but you know the drill. It's hurricane season. Prepare, be sensible, stay safe. And that's your TDH News Break brought to you by our friends at Peoples. I'm Teo Dill. Back to the show.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Teo. Folks, quite a few days for you, but it's National Internet Day here and National Internet Day. And I want to ask you, audience, let us know, what is your first memory of getting on the internet? What is your first memory of getting on the internet? Mine is, I remember we were in the library. Yeah, I actually went to that place. In the library, and I was in high school. And all us fellas were in chat rooms, and we were just in chat rooms doing what boys do, thinking we were talking to girls on the other end. That's my first memory of using the internet, the chat rooms back in the 90s. Well, what is your first memory of using the internet? All that said, from that time, using chat rooms with your classmates, talking to who you believe were girls in freaking Omaha and North Dakota back then. That's where at least they said. But anyway, who would have known 20, 30 years later, the internet would be a source of income and one of the backbones for majority of my businesses. So that's my first memory of using the internet, going into chat rooms with my classmates at the time. Sean Smith said the dial-up sound when you connect it. Yeah, remember that? People today won't, like, think about this here. Today, you literally can just open your computer and you're on the internet. Back then, it was not that easy. You had to dial in, and it was a whole thing, man. It was a whole thing. The internet has definitely changed since the first time I entered a chat room with my classmates to now. But happy Internet Day to everyone. And may you all find a way to utilize it that benefits yourself, your community, your family, your friends in the best way possible. All right. Folks, we're going to take a break. I'll get to, you've got quite a lot of comments that you've sent in. Question of the morning is, what can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this, and we'll continue the conversation. Stick with us.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
At HSBC, how we do business in our community is as important to us as what we do for our community.
We are here at Hungry Bay with HSBC today. We're planted over 500 mangroves using 2 different methods. This work is very vital for our mangrove ecosystem, and it would not be possible without HSBC's generous support.
I am super happy that we have a team here of colleagues helping us replant some of the mangroves. Mangroves are critical for preserving coastal nature, and with recent hurricanes, they have been taken away by waves. By replanting them, we are really helping nature be at its best.
Thank you so much for HSBC for sponsoring the Microforest Project, but by extension, the Hungry Bay Restoration Project.
Thank you to all of the charities, corporate partners, and HSBC volunteers for your commitment to our community.
SCARS stands for Saving Children and Revealing Secrets, and we are a Bermuda nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce the risk of child sexual abuse and to be an advocate and a voice for children who've been sexually molested, as well as their affected family. New media like the Daily Hour is really important in partnering with organizations like SCARS. It's another platform for us for awareness. There can be no radio silence as it relates to child sexual abuse, and we need as many initiatives as we can get. We need to keep this message alive. In terms of us and the work that we do, live engagement is good because it allows the audience to ask questions, to make comments, even to provide us with encouragement and support. What I love about the live engagement when SCARS is being interviewed by Jamel is just this feeling of safety, this feeling that he gets it. He cares about children. It's a connection.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Jamel Hartman here. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Again, if you have not already, please do us that favor and make sure you go on our website, thedailyhour.com, fill out our annual survey, help us help you as we look to align more of these conversations and guests and partners with your interest. All right. Well, the question of the morning is, what can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? And we did have quite a few comments we didn't get to. Kenton Trott says, I think we have to bridge the gap. It is important for the elders to welcome the younger generation. It is also important for younger people to feel welcome and support it. Absolutely. Charles H. Jeffs II says 50 plus. The last election was his first time voting in a Bermuda general election. Wow. Says, I was outside of Bermuda for school living when the voting age was changed from 21 to 18. And there is no absentee voting. I like how you threw that in at the end. Rhonda Trott says, I was 20 something. In the edge, I think she means in the age of information, it's choose to seek it or reject it. I became deeply involved in 1996 when seeking out a nursing home and saw the devastation senior in Pembroke Rest Home was living in. And I'm glad that she shared that, because I'll say this much. I was very young when I got politically involved, but the trigger for me was, as you probably all know, conscription. I could not believe at this point, we had a Black labor government, right? Let's say what it is. They were a Black political party, right? Their interest, they represented Black interest. That's not to say they didn't represent white people, but they represented Black interests because it was a group that was, marginalized in Bermuda. But they were a labor party. And if we put our bias aside and we're honest, right? Conscription was forced labor. So for me, I could not grasp, hold on, how are they out here fighting for people's rights, marching with unions and speaking about rights? So everyone deserves rights, except if you were born a man in Bermuda and you turn 18, your rights don't matter. So that's what got me, because I couldn't understand how anyone in this political party that represented labor was okay. And it wasn't just okay, they made it worse. Under the UBP, you didn't show up, you didn't show up. Under PLP, they made it, because you had Colonel Birch there, where, if you skip, we're gonna criminalize you. So the PLP actually made it worse. Think about it. They made forced labor worse. That for me was a trigger for me to get involved. That's why I give the PLP no pats on the back. I clap, no, absolutely do not clap for them for ending conscription, because it could have and should have been done long ago if you apply the logic that the PLP has used to maintain the name Bermuda Progressive Labor Party. So that was mine. Rhonda says hers was the state of the senior rest home in Pembroke. What was that trigger for you? What was the thing that got you, if you got politically involved, what was that thing that did it for you? For me, it was conscription. Charles H. Jeffs II, he says, when I heard that the PLP was offering free membership for young people, I wondered if the cost was the issue with them not joining. It will be interesting to hear how many take advantage of it. Charles, I think a lot of times we just do things because they sound good, but I'm going to go with, I highly doubt people were avoiding joining the PLP because of the cost. I don't think that's the issue. And the fact that you're approaching it that way tells me you probably haven't even had conversations to engage them to understand why. Right? So, but the second part of that, where you're saying you wonder how many people take advantage of it, I'm interested as well. I'm interested to know how many people took advantage of this free membership drive that the PLP is having. Rhonda Trott says, balance, balance, balance. Young and the elders. A great leader continues to learn and teach. And that is not a lie. Great leaders never stop learning, folks. Great leaders understand one thing, if nothing else, that they don't know it all. What else, audience? What can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? What can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? Obviously, the appointing the youngest cabinet, according to Premier David Burt, hasn't gotten more young people interested. That obviously hasn't done it. I think that's probably what he was going for when he, was saying it out loud, but it hasn't worked. And I think it goes back to what Miss Ellen Kate Horton said, that you can't really get more young people involved if you're doing things like having 2 elections when they're not able to exercise their right to vote because there's no absentee voting. crazy enough, we have Dwayne Robinson, who tabled the bill for the OBA, the absentee voting bill, coming on next Wednesday. But he had texted me about 10 minutes before this show today saying, hey, I'm in the studio. I'm like, you're where? You're supposed to be next week. But truthfully, we could have had him on today to discuss it. But I'm looking forward to that conversation, because obviously it's easy now for the PLP to do that. It's not going to impact David Burt anyway, because he's no longer going to be around, right? At least premier. Michael Daniels says, Bermudian youth here in 2025 have so many issues to deal with. Politics is only one. It would help if adults in their village were showing a way that is thoughtful. He's not lying. You know, I just posted on Twitter X this morning. I said, let me find it, because, you know, I don't want to quote myself wrong, audience. But I said this morning, yeah, right, as I was going to the gym, I got a text and I was asked, why do I believe the majority of recent university graduates haven't found employment? And I told my cousin, I said, pretty much, some may not understand that their college majors in areas of interest aren't a need, and they may need to shift, right? Folks, young people can't find the work that they want to do. Young people have been sold, I don't want to say lies, but they haven't been sold the truth. And we've said it on this show many, many times. You heard the premier. He said it. He said it many times. Well, he got involved in politics. He couldn't find work when he returned to Bermuda. That's not the reason you should get into politics. Not for a job, but to change things so that there are more opportunities, maybe, for people like you who can't find work. Young people do have a lot going on. They do. But getting politically involved doesn't necessarily mean being a part of a political party, being a candidate. Simple activism. If your issue is that you can't find work, do something about it. We may not like some of the things that the Premier David Burt does, but he couldn't find work. His answer, let me get involved politically to change this for others. Whether he was successful in doing that or not, that remains to be seen. But that's how he got involved, he tells people. We've got more. Audience, again, what can we do to get more young people involved in the political process? Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says, when Bermuda eventually got universal suffrage and the voter age changed to 25. I recall that I was older than 25 before having the opportunity to vote. Wow. I thought, me, because I was like 22, I think. No, I was 21. I think I was 21. July 2023, I think I was 21, yeah. Yeah, I thought I started voting at an older age, but again, the laws were different back then. We've got, that was the internet. We've got Miss Allen Kate, she says, once we had universal suffrage, the voting age raised to 25. So I first voted the election after my 25th birthday. Don't recall when that was. Gotcha. Rhonda Trott says, we need to fix whatever happened. What broke in society that young people need to be motivated to do almost everything: sports, schooling, employment, politics? Thank you. Hang on to what she just said, audience. Hang on to what she just said. Because I'm going to tell you, and I hate hearing my boys out and my friends, but I'm going to tell you what happened. I literally have had friends that make me question how spoiled we are. I've had a friend, we were debating something in a group one time. See, we don't have to fight no more. Our parents and grandparents did it for us. And man, I almost choked on my apple. And I don't even eat apples, but I was eating one at that time. But I was just like, how ridiculously lazy is that thinking? That we don't have to fight anymore because our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents did it for us. You have children. You have to fight for things. Your parents and grandparents and ancestors fought for what was necessary during their day. There are things that we need to fight for today. Rhonda Trott has a point. There's a spoiled and a privileged generation that needs motivation. And the truth is that they need motivation because there's a lack of discipline. Cherie Dill says, figure out how to modernize processes and ease of participating in processes. It can be frustrating for a young person who wants to be involved, but are constantly faced with barriers to contributing and drawn out processes simply due to outdated practices. Let me answer this. I'll use conscription. That was what got me in politically. Conscription was not an overnight thing. We started fighting that long before it went to court. And then from the courts in 2007 straight through to the government ending it in 2018, that was a long time. It was costly, not just financially, emotionally, mentally. What the Marshall family put on their backs and went through. There aren't many families in modern day Bermuda who have sacrificed what the Marshall family has. But they'll never get the credit for it because people didn't understand the fight. So when you talk about barriers and drawn out processes, no. Sometimes the fight's not going to be easy. And if you want better, then you're going to have to get your hands dirty and figure things out. And that goes back to what Rhonda Trott said, right? Something's broken in our society that young people need to be motivated. And we need to make things easier. Now, I agree that we need to meet people where they are. But younger people who are not politically involved need to get off the selfish high horse, like some others, and understand that if they don't act today, there won't be a tomorrow to even respond to. Not fear-mongering, just the truth. So while I appreciate what Cherie is saying, yeah, we have to meet people where they are. They also have to be willing to do the work. And the work will require you to get out of your place of comfort and might require you to get your hands dirty. I once said, I remember Jason Harewood, Minister Harewood, was involved in that little struggle. And I think at one time he is being sued by the OBA, Bob Richards, if I'm not mistaken. Well, there was something that went on, and it was almost a suit. And I said to people, man, maybe it's me. Maybe I have a criminal mind. But I have so much respect for the politician who gets their hands dirty, who's willing to break a law in the interest of the people. I think when I listened, and I don't know if we spoke about this on the show last week, but last week, Debbie Allen, not sure how many people in the audience know Debbie Allen. Well, Sister Cherie Dill, who I just read her comment, sent me this clip, Debbie Allen on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne and Envy and Lauren and Jess Hilarious. And as Debbie Allen was interviewed, she was asked a question about her impact on the hit sitcom A Different World, and how her attending an HBCU like Howard played a role in her impact on A Different World. And she mentioned Ewart Brown. Now, I'm sure no one in the studio knew who Ewart Brown was. But I mentioned that because she spoke about, it was Ewart Brown who shut things down. They don't make politicians like Ewart Brown anymore. And I'm not saying politicians who I like or dislike, but I can't imagine David Burke. And again, this might seem personal. It's not. But I like a politician who isn't afraid to have jewelry on their wrist in the interest of the people. I love a politician who doesn't just speak loud and pander. And they're not, I don't like the performative stuff, right? I like the active stuff. I want people out there, if you want my vote, earn it. Put your body, put your life, put your career on the line, because that's what I do or what I believe in. That's the kind of politician I'm drawn to. So we talk about getting young people involved. That's what kind of attracted me to the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party when I was younger. I didn't agree with Dame Jennifer on a lot of things, but she had a spirit about her. A spirit where she was going to fight and ride Freddie Wade. That he was going to fight Ewart Brown. That he was going to fight. I don't see that spirit in today's politicians on both sides. I don't see that. I have to be able to look at a politician and say, which one of these people is going to go to prison with or for me? And if the answer is none, maybe Mark Bean, maybe Omar Dill, maybe Dwayne Robinson, maybe Misha Fubler. But that's what I look for personally. When the going gets rough and tough, who's going to really ride for the people? And I just don't see that in the politicians today. Some of the independents I saw it in, but I don't see much of it in others. Let's go back to the audience. What can we do to get more young people politically involved? We've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, what needs to be done is that the party need to meet young people where they are at. The party should develop a weekly podcast and take clips from each episode and post clips on other social media platforms. Anika Shield says that's entitlement. And I think she's talking about we don't have to do the work our grandparents and parents did it for us. I think that's what she means. Michael Daniels says the world is in the middle of an industrial revolution. Choosing a career is crucial for your future. Absolutely. Emily Gail Dills says there is a lack of participation in politics across all age levels. It would appear from media reports that less than 5% of registered voters belong to political parties, with the majority being longing to the PLP. The comment is related to Bermuda. I don't know if I'm still a member of the PLP. I don't think I am. But I'll say this much. I remember when I became a U.S. citizen, I got in this big hoopla because I refused to register as a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. And I think my experience with the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party is, at this point in time, and I'll never say never, is a reason I could never, ever be a member of a political entity again at this time. I don't see myself doing it. But I don't agree with a lot of the stuff the Democrats do. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff the Republicans do. So for me, I want to use my vote as an opportunity to decide who I believe is best based on what they're presenting at the time, rather than feeling I'm committed to this organization and must vote along these lines regardless of where they stand on the day. I mean, that sounds more mature to me, but I digress. Folks, if you've appreciated this discussion this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll give the daily play, and you all put your thing. This is a fun one. This is a fun one. All right. It's music today. We'll be back in a few, and I hope that you all get the answer to today's Daily Play. Emily Gail Dill, Michael Daniels, Sean Smith, Rhonda Trott, Rosalind Famous, do us that big favor and please go on our website and participate in our survey if you have not already. We'll be back in a few.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal, cost-effective risk management cover to help protect your business, whether it be cyber, directors and officer liability, professional indemnity, or property insurance. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our full suite of competitive corporate insurance products. At Friesenbrook, we provide insurance you can count on.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazog Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
PALS is a cancer care charity. We started 45 years ago. What started as a charity with a half-time nurse, and basically just assisting patients going home from the hospital, but patients dying at home. We now, 45 years later, have 6 nurses, a social worker, and a palliative care physician. I know a lot of people that watch the Daily Hour every day, so it's just educational. It helps you know more about specific charities or specific organizations, and kind of get the nitty-gritty as opposed to just seeing a flyer on social media or just hearing or seeing a commercial. I think it's more beneficial. Like if I'm on the radio or on TV, I'm just like telling you what I think you want to know. But you might have specific questions that I can answer directly. I think it's much better having the live engagement.
All right. Thanks for rocking with us this morning. Every last one of you. We appreciate you. Folks, whatever platform you're streaming on, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram, take this moment to do us this big favor. Hit the like, love, follow, share, subscribe. When you share it with your friends in your WhatsApp groups, your chat groups. Send an email. But ensure everyone you know has access to these most important community conversations as possible. All right? Don't be selfish with good information. That's not helpful for any of us. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations on a regular basis. Folks, it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out what new 4 games and products are being released in the next few weeks. All right. Today, it's a name that place. Sorry, it's music today. Today is music. My apologies. All right. Let's see who guessed this. This is easy. Folks, it's music related. In what decade was Michael Jackson born? All right, at the buzzer. I think Mark R.C. Phillips had a typo. Stacey Ann Brown said the 50s. The 50s, Mark R.C. Phillips. The 50s, Suzanne Ingham. The 50s, Nika Shields. Yes, it was 1958. The legendary Michael Jackson, 1958. So, yeah, he was born in the 50s. All right, folks. Got to wrap it up. But as far as the discussion this morning, I mean, look, I think that there's so much that we can do to get young people interested and involved in the political process. But it's going to take humility on all sides. It's going to take the ability to listen and understand. And it's going to take discipline. Discipline. Young people must be a part of the conversations moving forward. And when I say young people, I'm talking about people who are not yet voting age, 15 to 18, people who are in college, people who are post-college. We need these young people involved politically because we all know how long it takes to change laws and policies. We all know that. This is just conscription. It takes a long time. The earlier you get involved in the process, the easier it will seem getting things that you'd like to see get done. Folks, again, if you haven't already, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Daily inspiration. I'll just tell you this, man. Hey, look. Just because you're discouraged about something doesn't mean that others are. Don't go bringing other people in your misery. Instead, look for the hope and happiness in what you see in them. All righty. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Ops, Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izal. Peace.